Listen up, Commanders. Want to know why this season is not a wait and see? Hint 1. Key opponents fell before practices. Know what it means to face Patriots and Ravens without their lethal weapons? Be careful. It could force us into false illusions. Hint 2. A toxic rivalry within the team. Star WR versus Hungry CB is crafting a monster ready to devour rival receivers. And the final bomb? A pro bowler with scores to settle just vowed chaos over the NFC East. I'm a dog, and I smell blood. This isn't just hype. It's championship DNA being injected in Ashburn. But watch out. If you're not subscribed now, you'll be on the outside watching a dynasty being built. Activate the bell or cry later. Look, after years of watching this team struggle to find its identity, we finally have a training camp where things are flowing. But the joint practices we were so anticipating are going to have some major changes you need to know about. The team has been ramping up camp at Commanders Park in Ashburn, and this week they added pads to practice. I tell you this, after months of practicing only against ourselves since the offseason began, we're finally going to face real talent from other teams. The joint practices against the Patriots on August 6th and the Ravens on August 21st are going to be completely different than what we originally planned. And I don't mean changes in schedule or location, I mean changes in the level of competition we're going to face. Christian Gonzalez, that all-pro cornerback from the Patriots, who gives us all nightmares because Emmanuel Forbes Jr. was our pick instead of him in that draft, injured his hamstring last Monday. Medical reports indicate he will likely miss several weeks as a precaution, meaning he won't be available for our joint practices 2 days before the preseason game in Massachusetts. And you know what bothers me most about this? I think it's a relief on one hand because we won't have to see in person, face to face, rep by rep. What could have been if Dan Snyder and that previous administration had made a different decision in that draft? Imagine seeing Gonzalez lock down our receivers while Forbes struggles to find his place on the roster. But on the other hand, and this is what really matters for our development, this was a golden opportunity for Jaden Daniels to face one of the best young corners in the league. Gonzalez isn't just an all-pro, he's a case study on how the position should be played in the modern NFL. His jam techniques at the line, his ability to read routes, his recovery speed when receivers manage to create separation. This would have been a masterclass for our rookies and our veterans. The Patriots will still arrive with Carlton Davis III, who had a solid season last year, and Kyle Duggar, one of those versatile safeties who can play anywhere on the field. Their defensive line remains one of the most physical in the AFC, especially with Christian Barmore inside and Matthew Judon applying edge pressure. Now, if you thought the situation with the Patriots was complicated, wait until you hear what happened with the Ravens. We have a special familiarity with Baltimore when it comes to joint practices, and not for the friendliest reasons. Remember 2023? Those joint practices where things got so chippy, they had to break up fights. Mark Andrews was in the middle of all that drama. I tell you this, Baltimore always brings that AFC North mentality to our practices, that divisional intensity where every rep matters like it's playoffs. But Isaiah Likely, their star tight end who had impressive numbers last season and was one of their most reliable red zone weapons, suffered a minor foot fracture during Tuesday practice. Doctors are estimating about 6 weeks of recovery, meaning he will definitely miss our joint practices on August 21st. But do you know why this is particularly frustrating? Because Likely isn't just another tight end. This guy ran routes like a wide receiver last season, had immediate chemistry with Lamar Jackson, and was exactly the type of matchup problem our defense needs to face to prepare for the regular season. Our linebackers and our safeties need those reps against tight ends that can stretch the field vertically and create mismatches in seams and crossing routes. With Likely out, we lose the chance to test if our defensive adjustments really work against that specific offensive weapon. Mark Andrews is obviously still there, and we know he will bring all that energy and competitiveness that nearly caused those fights 2 years ago. But Andrews is more of a traditional tight end, while Likely represented that new breed of pass catchers dominating the league. Look, I think the positive side of all this is that we are entering this crucial phase of training camp completely healthy. Our key players are available. Our rookies are getting reps, and our team chemistry is developing without major interruptions. While the Patriots and the Ravens arrive at this joint practices with major holes in their rosters, we're going to be able to put our best product on the field. That will give us a significant psychological advantage, especially for young players like Jaden Daniels who need all the confidence possible before the regular season begins. But isn't it frustrating that just when we want to really measure where this team stands against elite competition, that competition arrives incomplete? It's like studying for a final exam and having the questions changed on test day. If that surprises you, wait to hear this. When we think about all we've endured with our secondary in years past, the blown coverages, the touchdown bombs that cost us games, the rookie corners who seemed lost on the field, seeing what Mike Sainristil is doing in his training camp, it's like waking from a nightmare and realizing it was all just a bad dream. This guy is not only meeting the normal expectations of a second-year cornerback, he's demolishing those expectations and building something completely new from the rubble. But do you know the secret behind this talent explosion that has media, players, coaches, and fans talking about Sainristil as a camp superstar? Deebo Samuel. Yes! The same Deebo Samuel that some fans questioned when he arrived in a trade from San Francisco, wondering if he was really worth the price we paid for him. I tell you this, that man is not only justifying the trade, he's being the key piece in the development of our future #1 cornerback. And this isn't just my opinion, this comes straight from the mouth of Sainristil himself in his media availability. Listen to these exact words from Mike. I've appreciated having him on the opposite side, because I just know every rep will make me better and make him better. I feel like that's what I needed, having someone like him who will push me and help me improve. We've done extra things after practice. Whether it's walk-through tempo or jogging tempo, it doesn't matter. Every day we're going to battle. We're going to compete. You're going to get better, I'm going to get better. Are you hearing this? We're not talking about casual reps during practice. We're talking about voluntary extra work after official practices end. Samuel, an all-pro with years of postseason experience, is investing his personal time in developing a second-year cornerback. But what makes this even more special is the mentality both players are bringing to these sessions. It's not just Samuel being a mentor. It's genuine competition where both are pushing each other to limits they didn't know they had. Every route Samuel runs is with the intention of winning. Every coverage Sainristil executes is with a shutdown mentality. The result? Both are raising their game in ways we wouldn't have seen if they were working against lesser competition. Samuel arrived in Washington with something to prove after. Accusations about his commitment during his final days in San Francisco. I believe that chip on his shoulder is translated not only to his own resurgence, but in his dedication to make his teammates better. And the timing of this couldn't be better, with Terry McLaurin still out due to his contractual situation and ankle issues. Samuel has had to take more leadership responsibility in the receiver room. But instead of only focusing on his own development, he's using that leadership energy to elevate other aspects of the team. Have you ever seen an all-pro wide receiver dedicate extra time to developing corners? This doesn't happen in most organizations. Receivers and corners usually have that adversarial mentality where they tolerate each other during practice, but don't develop genuine relationships. What's happening between Samuel and Sainristil? Is Burgundy and Gold chemistry in its purest form. It's veteran leadership meeting young hunger. It's all pro talent elevating developing talent. But what truly makes this special is the ripple effect it's having in the entire cornerback room. When you have your CB2, probably CB1 this season, working at this level with an all-pro receiver, it elevates the expectations for all the other corners. Jonathan Jones is seeing this and knows he has to match that energy. Noah Igbinoghene is taking mental notes. Trey Amos, our second-round rookie, is learning what it truly means to compete at the NFL level before he even plays his first regular snap. I believe this is exactly the culture we needed to build in this secondary. Not just talent, but an obsession with improvement. Not just individual excellence, but a team-first mentality where veterans invest in the development of the young. Now, I ask you, when was the last time we saw this type of dedication and chemistry? Building during training camp. Do you remember when we had veterans who truly cared about developing young talent instead of just protecting their own positions? But that's nothing compared to what's coming. No way Marshawn Lattimore just said what he said. And I'm not exaggerating to create drama. I'm genuinely shocked by the level of confidence and an intimidation factor that this man just unleashed across the entire NFL. After 2024 season that we all want to forget, not because of Lattimore, but due to that damn hamstring injury that kept him out most of the time after arriving via trade, Marshawn Lattimore is back, and he's sending a message that will give quarterbacks across the NFC East nightmares. Look, I tell you this, when Lattimore arrived via trade from New Orleans before the 2024 trade deadline, there was an expectation level that was almost unrealistic. Fans, media, even other players expected him to be the missing piece that would instantly transform our secondary. The problem is that hamstring injuries for corners are like kryptonite for Superman. No matter how talented, experienced, or mentally tough you are, if you can't plant and drive, if you can't change direction without hesitation, if you can't trust your body to respond when a receiver makes a sudden cut, you're going to struggle. Lattimore never could fully shake off that frustrating hamstring injury. Every time he seemed ready to return, the injury flared up again. Every time fans started to get excited about his potential impact, we had to pump the brakes again. But do you know what's most frustrating about all that? It wasn't a lack of effort. It wasn't a lack of want to. It was simply bad medical timing that prevented a 4-time Pro Bowler from showing what he's truly capable of in a Burgundy and Gold uniform. Fast forward to this year's mandatory minicamp, and reporters, coaches, and teammates immediately noticed something different. Lattimore arrived looking like a completely different man. The explosiveness that had been missing was back. The sharpness in his cuts, the confidence in his plants and drives, the natural athleticism that made him a first-round pick out of Ohio State, all was not only back, but seemed even better than before. I believe those months of recovery gave him time not only to heal physically, but to analyze his game and come back even more refined technically. Elite corners don't just rely on athleticism. They constantly evolve their technique, and Lattimore used that forced time off to sharpen every aspect of his game. And now we arrive at the statements that will define this season for our secondary. These are not casual words in an interview. These are calculated statements from a veteran who knows exactly what type of standards he's setting. Listen to these words, verbatim. I like how the defense looks. I like how the young guys look. Everything is coming together now. We just have to keep stacking days. I've said from the start, I feel good. I feel like myself, and I can only get better. Are you processing this? A 4-time Pro Bowler is saying he feels like himself for the first time since arriving in Washington, and that he can only get better from here. If a healthy Lattimore is his baseline, what does an improved version mean? But then he dropped the real bomb. We're competitive. I feel like we got pure dogs top to bottom. That's what I want to be a part of, and that's the culture we're building. Pure dogs top to bottom. Do you understand the implications of that statement? Lattimore isn't just talking about individual talent. He's declaring that this secondary has that dog mentality, that competitiveness, that nastiness that elite defenses need. And then he capped it off with a statement that should make every NFC East quarterback nervous. I'm a dog, so I have to show that and prove it. I'm not really worried about last year. I know what was happening, but now I'm healthy. I'm ready for what's in my way. Did you hear that? I'm ready for what's in my way. That isn't just confidence. That's a challenge. That's a veteran all-pro telling the entire league that he's back, he's healthy, and he has something to prove. I believe this is exactly the type of mentality our secondary has been missing. Not just talent, but that edge, that intimidation factor that makes quarterbacks think twice before attacking your side of the field. But what makes these statements even more significant is how they're impacting the rest of the secondary. When your veteran leader is talking like this, it sets the tone for everyone else. Mike Sainristil is seeing this confidence from Lattimore and knows he has to match that energy. Jonathan Jones, who has championship experience, is feeding off this competitive spirit. Even rookies like Trey Amos are understanding that this is the standard. Not just talent, but that dog mentality. With players like Von Miller arriving to help the defensive front, and now Lattimore declaring war on behalf of the secondary, this defense is developing an identity we haven't seen in Washington for years. Oh, I ask you, when was the last time a Washington cornerback made such intimidating declarations? Do you remember when the Cowboys were afraid of attacking certain areas because they knew Darrell Green was lurking? Do you remember when opposing coordinators had to game plan specifically around our secondary talent? That's the level of respect Lattimore is demanding with his statements. He's not just saying he's going to play well, he's promising to be a problem for anyone who tries to attack his coverage. While Jerry Jones continues dealing with drama and contract disputes in Dallas, while the Eagles worry about internal chemistry issues, while the Giants are still trying to find an offensive identity, we have Lattimore promising to make life miserable for all of them. Do you see the pattern here? Development, competition, intimidation, Sainristil dominating with Samuel's help, transforming into camp superstar, Lattimore returning healthy and sending war messages to the entire league, and we enter joint practices healthy while other teams arrive with key players missing. I tell you this secondary is going to be the biggest surprise of the NFL in 2025. It's not hype. It's not blind optimism. It's talent meeting opportunity, meeting the right culture. Do you think Lattimore will keep his promise to be a dog this season and make life miserable for NFC East quarterbacks? Do you think Sainristil can make the leap to Pro Bowl in his second year with Samuel's mentorship? And what do you think about the changes in our joint practices? An advantage because we're healthier, or disadvantage because we won't face the best talent available? Leave your answers in the comments because this Commanders community is a family. And in families, we share our opinions fearlessly. If you're ready to see this secondary dominate the NFC East and make quarterbacks question their life choices, like this video. If you want to keep receiving the most explosive Burgundy and Gold news before anyone else, subscribe because I guarantee you, tomorrow we'll have more bombs that will blow your mind. This is our season. This is our opportunity. And with a secondary talking like this and backing it up in practice, the rest of the league better be ready. And remember, hail to the Redskins.